This is Forrest, and you're watching Guns N' Roses Central.
Hey everybody, what's going on, and welcome to Guns N' Roses Central, and today we're talking about the 14th track off Use Your Illusion 1, which is Bad Apples. Now the song was written by Slash, Axl, Duff, and Izzy Stradlin, and it's probably one of the less popular Guns N' Roses songs, and it's one of the songs off Use Your Illusion 1 that hasn't been performed live that many times. In fact, it's only been performed live at least twice. So the recording features Matt Sorum on drums, Duff on bass, Slash on lead and rhythm guitars, Izzy on rhythm guitar, Dizzy on the piano and clavinet, while Axl, of course, does the vocal duties, and background vocals being done by Izzy, Duff, Matt, and Dizzy. Now, the song was performed live for the first time at Maracana Stadium in Brazil on January 23rd, 1991. That was the show, of course, where Guns N' Roses headlined the Rock in Rio festival. And the only other documented time that Guns N' Roses performed Bad Apples live was during their club tour before the Use Your Illusion tour at the Pantages Theater in Los Angeles in May of '91. Now, Slash has been one of the few members who's actually talked about the song. So in 1992, he gave an interview to Guitar Magazine where he talked about how he played the guitar on the song. He said, "It's just a clean guitar for the beginning. I think I use a jazz chorus for the amp. I use that a lot. I hardly ever use a Marshall for playing anything brittle, clean parts. On this particular song for the beginning, I might have used a Strat, as I have a little Music Man guitar that Keith Richards had. I used that because it has a great sound for clean stuff. The song was written complete." So in 1989, Guns N' Roses set up shop in Chicago. There was a lot of distractions going on in Los Angeles, and the band felt maybe we should relocate to Chicago so we can finally get some more songs done and hopefully complete the Use Your Illusion records. So for 2 months in the summer of 1989, Guns N' Roses hung out in Chicago. It was mostly the band members minus Axl who kind of showed up. Axl didn't really show up until the end of the summer, and Bad Apples was one of those songs that was written in Chicago according to Slash's book. Now, Slash has said in various interviews that the time spent in Chicago seemed kind of wasted because the entire band wasn't there. Steven's drug addiction was spiraling out of control, and Slash and Duff were drinking quite a lot during this time as well. Now, according to the article, for 2 months that summer, the band raced hell up and down Clark Street after booking a studio above the metro and renting a pair of condos nearby. There was a drunken Slash bunny hopping everything in sight on Clark Street on his BMX bike. Cocaine was hidden in butter dishes at the back of the condos. Italian food was flung onto pesky fans from the balcony of the rented condos, and daughters of high-ranking cops were hit on. Squad cars were involved. The bad boys of rock, regular nobodies to the Chicagoans they encountered, according to Slash, just got into about everything that summer except completing much music. Several band members in subsequent years described their summer in Northside as a wasted effort, mostly because frontman Axl Rose showed up weeks late as the band began to fracture. It was a pivotal time and not in a good way. Now, after years apart, Slash, Axl, and Duff are coming back to Chicago for 2 shows at Soldier Field as part of a blockbuster summer reunion tour. So, according to Slash's book, manager Doug Goldstein and I went to Chicago to scope out where we would live and rehearse. We chose the Cabaret Metro, the famous rock club on the north side of the city. It's a concert space that houses a separate club called the Smart Bar in the basement and also has a theater upstairs. It was perfect. We took over the theater, and when we were done for the day, the coolest bar in the city was waiting for us downstairs. We rented out a 2-unit brown brick apartment building a few miles down the road on Clark Street, right by the elevated train, to live on. Duff and I were such enthusiastically social boozers that miles of bars along North Clark Street were a new playground for us, all within walking distance. My personal consumption at that point was half a gallon bottle of Stoli per day, plus whatever I consumed when I was out at night. I'd wake up in the morning and fill a solo cup 85% full with vodka and a bit of cranberry juice. I called it the Breakfast of Champions. Duff was in the same league. We'd jam at the Metro for most of the afternoon, sometime into the evening, and then spend the rest of the night in and out of bars. In our plentiful free time, Duff and I would also did our personal best to stay in shape. I had one of my BMX bikes out there, and I used to ride it in between apartments and rehearsal space, bunny hopping everything in sight, riding on the sidewalk. It was a good workout. Some days Duff and I even went to the gym, usually just after our morning vodka. We'd go to one of those big public YMCAs with our security guard Earl to pump iron. We'd be down there in our jeans doing sets between cigarette breaks. It was invigorating. We'd usually cool down afterwards with cocktails at a sports bar. It didn't matter how big we were back home and how many records we'd sold or how the shows we played went. In Chicago, we were nobodies. We were just a couple of regular Joes to our fellow patrons, and there is not a bigger haven for regular Joes in America than sports bars of North Clark Street. Every night we hung out at the Smart Bar, which was pretty cool, but a much different rock scene in LA. It was 1990, although Slash probably meant 1989, and the place was all about techno and industrial music like Ministry and Nine Inch Nails. We didn't really gel with the people there because we were clearly a different variety, but we made a circle of friends anyways. We had dozens of chicks. It was like a shooting gallery in that place, but I eventually settled on one. And of course, Slash said his famous line, "All things considered, we managed to produce a few good tunes, including Estranged, Bad Apples, and Garden of Eden. Overall, I found our time in Chicago to be a huge waste, which will always be a point of contention between Axl and I. He seemed to think that we were really getting somewhere, and I was the one who ruined it all. We came home from drinking to find a feast of Italian food on a sidewalk in front of our apartment. Our favorite Italian place was right on the corner, and apparently Axl had unloaded the band's entire dinner on a few people who had found out that we were living there and were heckling from the street." Now, one of the strangest things about the song Bad Apples is if you go to Guns N' Roses' Vivo page, there's a music video for the song. And what's strange is they basically took the music video for Don't Cry and chopped it up and had Bad Apples playing in the background. And I don't know who came up with this idea, but it's easily one of the worst, if not the worst, Guns N' Roses music video out there. There used to be a demo of Bad Apples on YouTube. It was Axl's advanced copy demo. And I have personally heard the demo of Bad Apples that Guns N' Roses rehearsed at the Mates rehearsal studio back in 1989, featuring Steven Adler on drums. There were no vocals on that demo recording, but it does exist somewhere in the world. Now, according to one meaning of the song Bad Apple speaks about the success and the problems that come with it. It's about the stupidity of people who think that fame is the most important thing. People get famous and suddenly their head's in the clouds. They think they're way too important and they have a lot of worries. The music industry is like a big market. People try to sell themselves and their music as much as they can, and money becomes more important than creativity, and everything gets commercialized and fake. Everybody imitates everybody, and everybody is talking about everybody. Hollywood is like a dryer. People wash and hang their dirty laundry all over the place, although not literally. It means that people discuss their personal matters with everyone, and everyone's secrets are revealed to the public of Hollywood, and there are always rumors floating around. Some people even spread rumors about themselves in order to get more fame. People don't seem to realize that after all, these famous people are just ordinary people who just want to be left alone, at least most of them, to live in peace without being discussed by the whole world. Now let's see where the song ranks on the best to worst Guns N' Roses song list. So Spin.com ranked it as the 46th best Guns N' Roses song out of 80 or so songs. They said marrying piano tickling saloon tunes with bang your head hard rock has always been the strength of GNR. The gratifying Stonesy Bad Apples might not be among their most favorite hits, but it's super funky. So Medium.com ranked Bad Apples as the 57th best Guns N' Roses song. They said this was a Guns N' Roses at maximum swagger, stomping and swinging at the same time with a bit of Roadhouse piano thrown in to give it the whole endeavor a Stones on HGH feel. The draw and release of the chorus shows what's missing from Chinese Democracy, the simple pleasure of an unadorned kick-ass riff. So that does it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Also be sure to hit subscribe if you love Guns N' Roses as much as I do. You guys can also go check us out on gnrcentral.com for the latest breaking Guns N' Roses news, and you can also go support us on Patreon if you want to see us continue to make videos just like this. Take care.